I'm hanging out with entrepreneur and founder of Drip Footwear, Lekau Sehoana. So Drip Footwear, I'm sure you know about it. This is one of the most successful and fastest growing sneaker brands in the country. In fact, it was listed at 65 on Africa's top 100 most admired brands. It is number 2 in South Africa. And I think that Lekau has such an inspirational story, and you and I can learn a thing or two about how he's founded this brand and what he had actually been through before the company was even founded. And I'm so glad to have him with us here in studio. How are you doing, brother?
I'm highly blessed and favored. How are you?
Oh, blessed and favored. Nkosiyami. That's good. I'm all right. How are you doing? How have you been this entire year?
It's been a hectic year.
Yeah.
With the economy and everything happening. Yeah, so it was a challenging year, but entrepreneurs are made for such times.
Right?
Yeah.
Have you been running?
When
are we running? Because you always comment on my running, but I don't see you running anymore. Do you still run?
Yeah, I want to go back.
Yeah.
I want to go back. It's funny that the other day I actually drove past you.
Yeah, you did.
Running. Yeah.
Should have joined, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm going to join you.
So I love your playlist, by the way, the songs that you've sent us. Perfect. I can't wait for us to play them.
Yeah.
Let's start in Ivory Park.
Yeah.
Because how old were you when you guys moved from Limpopo?
When my parents divorced, I was 2. That's when my mom moved to Joburg.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you don't have a lot of memory of Limpopo then?
No, because I actually went back in 1997 for a year to study there for a year because I had actually dropped out of school at some point. So my mom said, go back home. So I had actually went back home for a year. So those are the memories that I have. And also just visiting back home in Limpopo, the family.
Why did you drop out? What happened?
So when we moved to Ivory Park and when I started school, what we didn't have was a school close by. Like all the schools were actually full. So I had to go study and I had to cross a river like in Ivory Park. So I was in Ivory Park Station 2 and
That was an informal settlement.
Mafela Ndawonye. And then I had to
Mafela Ndawonye, what does that mean?
We're going to die at this place. Yeah, it's something like that. We're going to die at the same place.
Oh, I know. What's the inspiration around that?
So all the informal settlements back then were
I know.
named,
now there's one called COVID. There's COVID-19 somewhere in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to walk like a very long distance for me to go to school. So at some point I just, stopped going there. And then because of that, my mom, took me back to Hamamabolo, Limpopo home. Yeah.
Okay. So then you growing up in this informal settlement, what was life like for you and the family, especially when you got to high school? Because you've told stories of how there was times when you didn't have shoes to wear to go to school.
Yeah. So, the funny thing is my primary school life was actually perfect. Because I didn't know poverty, because everyone around me were going through the same thing, and then at school in primary, the government was giving us, was feeding us, during lunchtime, there was bread, so I didn't see much of, like poverty or something like that, even though, I was living in an informal settlement. Only when I actually got to high school, that's when I saw how different I was, because there was a tech shop, they were allowed to wear branded jerseys, on top of a school shirt. So that's when I realized that there's actually a gap between me and then a lot of other kids, at school. So that's when I actually started being conscious about, us not having anything.
Yeah. But then the passion then to start somehow redesigning the shoes, where did that come from?
So the passion comes from us not having anything, so like the school used to do a lot of fundraising and using our money. So they'll say, tomorrow don't wear school uniform, wear your own home clothes, and then you must come with 2 rands. So during those times, that's when, other kids would come wearing branded clothing, and they would get the most attention, like best friends, best girlfriends, So, and me, on the other hand, I'll just come wearing my school uniform because I didn't have, good clothes. Yeah. So that's when I said, and I was a kid. So I was like, maybe for me to also just get attention, I must do something wild. Which is when I started, sewing clothes, like I'm designing my own clothes using denim,
Who
from
taught
the
you
shoe.
that?
my grandmother. Yeah, so at home, like even when I was a kid, if you come and then your trousers are torn, you know, you have to sew them yourself.
Noroka.
Yeah.
Noroka kamchini.
No, kana late.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So my grandmother taught me how to sew.
Yeah.
So I started, you know, piecing, I'm piecing together pieces of denim, then creating jackets, jeans, and shoes using denim, bucket hats, and backpacks. So I'll just go to school, you know, just being a denim guy. So I got the most attention. Yeah.
Did you do that for your teachers or your friends as well at school?
So it actually grew into a business. So my first business was actually called Black Smoke Designs. So I was actually 15.
Designs.
Yes, I was actually 15. And
interesting.
Yeah. So I was 15 when I started my first business, sewing for people, patching their school trousers and charged them 5 rand, 10 rands.
Yeah.
So I actually made a lot of money during my high school, you know, designing.
Oh, that's fascinating, man. It's so incredible to hear that story and to see you now owning one of the most successful, shoe brands. And we'll talk about other business ventures you've tried, because even after matric, this wasn't the first thing you went to. You've tried other things first. And I think God was saying, what are you doing when I come back here?
Yeah.
And you came back and you realigned and you started this business that has really become so successful and recognizable across the country. We'll talk more about that journey. But first, let's hear one of his favorite songs. And this one is by Zola 7.
Hey, call me a star. Maybe you're living in the dark. Maybe you're scared. Let me shine for you, okay?
What a song. You know, Zola 7 had the ability to talk to like the township boys and girls who had dreams.
Yeah.
And I remember how I used to memorize these. This was one of my favorite songs. I used to memorize these songs, and you believed something, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the village, in the township, that it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you like him so much? Particularly this song. What does it say to you?
You know, when you are in the dark, sometimes you just need, you know, someone to come and shine, you know, the light to you. And Zola was that guy, you know, who was, you know, a Kasi hero, and he sang about that. And I think that's what made my brand to be successful, because, you know, I'm relatable. My story is relatable to other South Africans, and his story, you know, has been so relatable. You know, we saw him come up, we saw him akota di dreadlocks high on TV, you know, like him being made the Zola 7 that he is now, and then the TV show, you know, making people's dreams in 3 days, you know. So he was that guy, you know, who was believable, you know, who actually lived what we were going through, and he was so positive, you know, during those times, and his music is timeless, man. Yeah.
It is. So after your matric, what did you do?
So after matric, I failed 2 subjects, and then I had to supplement. And then after supplementing, I felt as if like there was a huge gap, you know, between me and my peers, my friends who were now in varsity. And then I actually went to go work at our late MD's business. You know, they own a shop, you know, in Clayville. So I actually went there to work there, Ketsadukota. And that's how I actually, you know, learned more about business from Glenda's late dad as well. And then how, you know, he was doing business without knowing English, without knowing how to write or read. And he was such a, you know, great businessman. So I actually went to work there. And then a few months later, I left and I started my own cleaning services company. Yeah.
And then, you had other several ventures. Did you not go into farming as well at some point?
Yeah, I did.
Did that work out?
No, it didn't. So
how many businesses that you tried after matric failed before drip?
So my journey of business before drip is a 16-year long business journey. You know, from the black smoke days to the cleaning services days to the cash for scrap days to farming, chicken grill. So all of those businesses, you know, failed. And
it's easy to just give up, right? When you've tried. If you've tried one business, it fails. You've got motivation to try again. But if you've tried 3, 4, they've failed in a way, it takes a lot to say, I'm going to try again. So at what point did you say, I want to start drip? I want to go back to my passion of designing shoes and making that a big brand.
So in 2012, you know, I was still running the cleaning services business, but I didn't have a car. I didn't have equipment. I used to rent cars, you know, for me to go clean people's houses.
You were cleaning the houses yourself?
Yeah, I was cleaning the houses myself. You know, I just call my friends depending on how big, you know, that particular house would be. And I just felt as if like, you know, I needed capital for me to actually venture into like the business fully, you know, buy a car, buy the equipment as well. And then I had to go to school. So I went to Ekurhuleni West College in Tembisa to study civil engineering, FET, in an FET college, NQF level 4. And then the reason why I actually went to school was so that I can get a job, raise capital, and then go back into business. So after that, I obviously got, you know, jobs in construction, you know, 3 months, 4 months here, and then I would raise, you know, enough capital to start, you know, other businesses. That's how the farming business came about. You know, partnered with a lady who believed in me and said, okay, cool, I have a place in Denelton. Let's actually just build the farm there, build the farm and the farm field as well. So after the farm, I actually did chicken grill because now I was into the whole, you know, chicken and understood the value chain of farming as well. It's like maybe if I do a chicken grill in Tembisa, it can actually work out. I did the chicken grill and then it failed. So during that time, I was at my lowest. It was my lowest point. I was sending out CVs. I just wanted to get a job, you know, so that I can raise enough capital again and try again. And then that's how I was like, maybe during this time when I'm waiting for, you know, someone to call me because I've been sending CVs, let me just, you know, do another business. But this time around, I just want to do, you know, I just want to go back and go into fashion. But I didn't want to do T-shirts because at the time, almost everyone was doing T-shirts. So that's how, you know, and that's the point in my life where I actually came about the idea of Drip.
So, Jesus. I mean, so as you were going along and you are finding these odd jobs, I mean, you were not living it up, right? Like you were saving the money so that you can get capital for whatever business venture you wanted to get into.
So, you know, like the funny thing is that as I was, you know, growing as well, and at the time, you know, I had 2 kids, you know, I was married then as well, you know. So it means that life was also, you know.
How old were you at the time?
Around 27, 28.
Sure. Le brave, eh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, so, but there was a time you quit your job because they didn't want to give you leave to attend to.
Yeah. Where did you get?
What happened there?
So what happened?
You know these things.
So what happened is that like construction works on like project timelines, you know. So each and every day in construction, you know, matters. When it rains and everything, you know, you must know that, you know, you're losing a day. So we were working on a project, you know, in Soshanguve, and there's a school there, a primary school there. We're actually removing asbestos roof and everything. So like we had to finish the project on time. So I couldn't get a leave to actually go and plan and work and arrange my wedding. So I actually had to quit in order for me to plan and arrange my wedding.
And how did the wedding go?
Yeah,
I mean, the wedding, not the marriage, because we know how the marriage is going. But how did that wedding go? Like, did you plan it properly? Was it lovely?
Yeah, absolutely. And I had time, you know, to actually plan it.
Okay, that's wonderful. All right, I've got some WhatsApp voice notes coming through on 072 702 1702. Sheila says on the WhatsApp line, Clement, I love your guest so much. Thank you for this conversation. Mike says, good morning, Clement. And my Kasi boy, what an inspirational story. I walk past Mafela and Dawonye daily going to the biggest taxi rank in Ivory Park. It's still an informal settlement even today. Although it has electricity. I salute you for your hustle, brother. That's a message from Mike. Another one says, hi, Clement. I'm a lady enjoying my colorful drip sneakers thanks to your guest. This is Mbeka in Don Park.
Morning, Clement, and your guests. It's Mike here from Ivory Park. It's so interesting to listen to one of our own. I grew up in Ivory Park. I still stay in Ivory Park. I walk past in Mafela and Dawonye informal settlement on my daily routine to the tax rank. It's still an informal settlement. Even though they installed electricity now. So yeah, it's so inspirational to listen to him where he comes from and where he is now. I say big ups to him. And Mike in Ivory Park.
Oh, that's wonderful, man. Thank you for the WhatsApp voice note. Do you think you've always been an entrepreneur at heart? I mean, the stories you're telling, like it looks like you've always known that you have to be something and own something at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially during my high school years. So I was reading, you know, about your Herman Mashaba, Patrice Motsepe. So I realized during that time that if I were to get a job, I was going to be able to buy myself a house or a better life, but my mom would still remain in a shack. Or I'd get my mom a house and I would have to stay in a back room somewhere. So I knew that the saving grace in my life is actually going to be in entrepreneurship, and even Drip is the one that actually made me to be able to afford my family a home. So it took that long, actually, knowing that one day, and the only thing that's going to save me is actually entrepreneurship.
Yeah. What role do you think social media played in the explosion of Drip? Because I remember the tweet very well that went crazy when you had posted the first batch of the shoes, and everybody was talking about you, and they were inspired by your story, and everybody just wanted to support you. What role did that moment play in the success of this brand?
Everything. And, we started the business during the transition whereby, even other companies were taking social media serious. They were going on social media, having their own accounts and everything. And without any other platform for me to trade at, social media was the only platform that I could actually retail my products because no one could take the products in. And I'm having to share my story as well. And the funny thing is, I didn't even know that sharing my story would actually, be the story of the founder around the product. I was just, sharing my story of where I come from, where I am in life, my lowest point, and I just have this product. I just want to sell it. And people were inspired and they could relate, and then they actually were able to buy the product. So social media, you actually just won the South African Social Media Award now. I think on Friday or Saturday, being the most influential business on social media, something like that.
Congratulations on that.
So it's everything for us.
Yeah. I mean that was how many shoes was? I think it was it 600 pairs at the time, ne?
Yeah.
They were sold out in like a few weeks.
Yeah. So how I was able to sell out the shoes was that I actually did a pre-order because I didn't have enough capital to actually go and unlock the shoes because the factory says the minimum order quantity per color is 600 pairs. So I was down and out, and I just have the prototypes with me. So that's when I shared the story and people bought into the product during that time. I raised the capital, I sent to the factory. They gave me the shoes, I distributed, and then I sold out in 6 weeks.
Sure. Where do you get this resilience and determination? I mean, it's like it's like you even try every single strategy to make sure that there's a success. Where do you think you attribute that resilience and determination to?
I think I've always been a solution-driven person. Even at work today, when they face the most hardcore challenges, they know one person that is going to develop a strategy or a solution is Lekau. So that's where I position myself. So I always look at ways around things, there's always a way out of something. So I'm so solution driven. So I think that's one of the things, that makes me, I mean, I could have, not started Drip during that time when I didn't have, enough money to actually raise the capital. But I said, maybe I can try this way. And I didn't see it anyway. I just thought maybe this way could work, and it actually did. So there's always a way around something.
I want to go to your calls on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. So we spoke about the first 600 pairs that you sold in the beginning. Where's the business now? How many stores do you have now? Over 15, right?
Yeah, we have 25.
25?
Yeah.
Sure. And what's the footprint? Is it Joburg? Are you in Durban? How's the footprint like?
Yeah, nationally, the only province we don't have a store is Northern Cape. So because we're still waiting for a better position in the mall there. So as soon as we get a space, and then we're opening in Northern Cape. So we have 8 provinces.
Sure, that's incredible. When you look back, and you go back to the time when you didn't have enough capital, and you look back now and you're like, I've got 25 stores. I mean, what goes through your mind? That's big stuff. And also, you started this in 2019?
2019, yeah.
In a short space of time, you were able to have this exponential success. What goes through your mind when you reflect on these milestones?
I was right.
I like that.
The one thing is like I was right, for not giving up, for 16 years, for being called crazy, for being called all sorts of names. A dreamer was even, a bad thing where I come from. They're like, when are you just a dreamer? And, in 2019, I was right. And they say you only have to be right at least once, So when I look back, I'm like, my biggest dream in my life was to get my mom a house, because for over 30 years, we've been living in a shack. So my dream, I'm living my dream right now because the old lady has her own home. I'm so home. So when I look back, I'm like, yeah, definitely my dream came true. And now my job is to make dreams of other people to come true as well through me and through the business that I've built.
How many people do you employ?
Overall, everywhere is over 300 people.
Jeez.
Yeah.
From struggling to find jobs and quitting and to actually being able to make that level of difference in people's lives. Someone says, Clement, please can you ask him about the advertising that he has across all billboards? It's so expensive, and no brand has been featured on billboards like his company has. We were together at the Prime Media event last year, and I think they announced a partnership with you. Just explain to our listeners about what that partnership was going to entail.
Yeah, so I work with Wide Open, which is in partnership with Prime Media as well. So Wide Open, they do billboards, they do tech, and then they did our VNA waterfront store, which is a smart store. And then from there, we started having conversations around, billboards that they have across the country, and then we can have the drip. It's actually now called the drip campaign, or the drip package. And then that's how we sat down and say, okay, cool, we can elevate the brand to the highest level ever. If you allow, and then if you are willing to pay so much, it wasn't, like the exact amount that they charge for those billboards. Great. So they just gave me a small amount to say, if you can just pay us so much, and then we can be able to unlock 90 billboards across the country, in partnership with Wide Open and Prime Media. I'm actually in the right building. I'm home.
Yeah, you're home here. Yeah. I remember after that, the drip shoes were everywhere.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you're driving, like on the billboards, what difference did you see in that?
A huge difference, because what billboards do is that they also build trust in people to say, I can actually trust the brand. If maybe I bought a wrong size, I can be able to maybe exchange for my money. They'll be able to pay me back, or they can be able to, because it's like you can see that these guys are actually serious in what they're doing. So the campaign actually changed us. And also like the B2B business that we do with corporate companies like the Prime Media, Wide Open deal, and other, corporate companies that we work with to design shoes for. It unlocked so much, business for us in that space.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Let's go to the lines now. Patrick, you're calling us from Tembisa. Good morning.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Sharp, Patrick. Go ahead, man.
Lekau.
Hola.
Hey, go for man now, mfit.
Hola there. Hey, Pet.
Hey, man, young man, I'm actually moved. I'm listening to radio now. And marketing is one thing you do well. Yesterday or day or so, you posted that you'll be on radio today, and I couldn't miss it for the world.
Thank you.
Look, from me, I just want to say that you are an inspiration to many, many young people. Yeah. You know the history, you know how we grew up, us growing up with your brothers and so on, the challenges of being an entrepreneur from the township, not having any prior training, not having any funding for what you want to do, only having nothing but your vision and your dream.
Yeah.
So with this few words, my man, I just want to say, keep inspiring young people, don't stop. We want to see you owning an airline. We want to see you owning a sports camp. We want to see you owning things that are still perceived to be impossible to this day. Let this be just a capital for the next thing you're going to do. This is not the ultimate.
Thank you so much, man.
Pet, that's beautiful. Thank you, Patrick, for that call. Are you going into, speaking of sports, actually, you are getting into sports, aren't you?
Yeah. We are in sports.
You're already in sports.
Yeah.
You've done something with TX Galaxy?
We are sponsoring Morocco Solos now. We did Skokune. We started off with TS Galaxy. Yes.
Oh, so now you're with
Morocco Solos as a technical sponsor.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What's your dream about Drip?
The dream is to take Drip global. And when we sat down, we said we don't want the dream to only just end here. So the strategy is to actually build a global brand, that comes from Africa and then that inspires, other people. So the dream is to take it global.
And in terms of diversifying your investments, are you going into other sectors?
Yeah,
Are you
absolutely.
focusing on fashion?
Yeah, we do have other investments on the sides. Yeah,
That's great. Yeah. Okay, Unati in Centurion. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity for us to actually listen to the real stories. And I want to say to him, congratulations to the gentleman. And our struggle as young people of this country is different from that of our forebears. And I think it's about making sure that we participate in this economy because we deserve to, and not through daily deals, but starting up with ideas that are selling. And this gentleman has proven, and I hope many, many young people, many young South Africans, in particular black, they can see that if you have a vision and you have a dream, it can come true. And he is a true demonstration of that. And big ups to him.
Oh, thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thanks for calling. Unati. Robert in Lenesia, hi.
Yes, Clement, how are you, man?
Sharp, how's it?
Absolutely great, man. Listen, man, heads up for your guest there, my brother. We need a lot of young stars like him coming up, man. I think the work environment doesn't cut it for the youth anymore, man. Going out there and studying, go look for a job doesn't really cut it, my brother. I think the most important thing is really to do something like what he's done, man. It's encouraging, my brother. Just do the work and stick out, man, especially where you come from, where you started other businesses that failed, my brother. But you continued and, and marched forward, my brother. All I say, big up.
Thank you so much.
My brother. God bless you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the call, Robert. What are your memories of Eqinisweni secondary school?
I was actually...
Were you a naughty kid?
No, not even. I was actually way too busy running business.
Imagine this young one, when we were busy being naughty, running around. When you counting money there.
Yeah.
Did you have teachers there? I mean, one thing about teachers is that they have an impact on our lives, right?
Yeah.
Do you have teachers from that school that have somehow impacted you?
Yeah, I remember Mr. Messina. Mr. Messina was also in business as well. And then I went to him with a proposal, during my high school years. And I said, I want to start, a newspaper of my own. This is an idea that I have.
You wanted to start a newspaper as well. What did you not want to do?
So yeah, Mr. Messina, I used to look up to Mr. Messina. And actually, Patrick as well, who just called, he's also a very good businessman that inspired me. So, in Eqinisweni, man, I had a beautiful high school career, man.
Yeah.
I had good friends and good teachers. I actually bumped into Mr. Kunene over the weekend, who's a former principal. So I have.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a teacher from Eqinisweni with us on the line now. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good morning,
Mr. Shishenge.
Mr. Shishenge.
Sure.
Man, how was this man in secondary school?
Actually, I joined Eqinisweni Secondary School in 2005, and Lekau joined it in 2003. So, unfortunately, I couldn't actually teach him in class because those ones that are not actually coming from my line of language, I teach them in grade 8 and grade 9, creative arts and technology. But however, I have come to know Lekau as a more disciplined and focused young man while he was at the high school. He was a more conscious kind of a young man who understood what he wanted to achieve. There are some of the things that he didn't even mention because he once came to me after completing his matric in 2007, in 2008, when he was actually rewriting his matric to improve his subject. He came to me, he had the camera. He wanted to actually take the matric dance as part of the business, but unfortunately, he cannot actually remember that.
This guy was coming for everything. Yo.
Yes, it was actually for everything. But what I like about him is that he actually managed to out of the ordinary, he make an extraordinary story about himself. He has actually paved the way for so many young people from our school and Ivory Park in particular. Because now there is a book that is coming. I have written a short biography of him. And this short biography, it's not only for him, it's for other learners who have made it in the school. It's called The Struggle of a Black Child. You can drop a T because you can see that these young men are actually doing extraordinary in order to make sure that they make something out of their lives.
Yeah,
so
and
Lekau is one of those that are leading that, and he was with us on the 11th of August, coming to actually greet the young people that are here now.
Oh, I love that. So you still go back to like the schools, to your community to give back?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I told the students there is that I don't want any for the school to have any other child who goes to school without uniform and school shoes. So I'm just making it my responsibility to actually make sure that there's no student at Unisweni who will go to school without any of those.
Oh, I love that, man. I think that's what I love about hearing the background stories, because when people have struggled like you have struggled, you've tasted poverty. You know how it feels to live in a shack in an informal settlement, not have opportunities, be broke, not have a job. And when you get to that level of success, it becomes so important for you to go back and help people that you are able to help that are in the similar situation.
Absolutely.
Good on you, man. Mr. Galeza says, Clement, great interview there. That's raw entrepreneurship. Lekau, we see you and we're inspired. I will forever thank you for buying 15K worth of my calculators when we started. You understand it takes capital to win, and we don't have it so much as South Africans. Masala says, Clement, most people don't understand, but a lot of entrepreneurs funded our entrepreneurial journey from salaries. No one will invest in you until you invest in yourself. Lekau is an example of that. Entrepreneurs don't need funding to start, but for growth, they start with what they have, and that's where they should start. And the real Opa says, Clement, well, Opa quotes what you said earlier, that it's been happening and entrepreneurs are made for such a time. And the real Opa says, Lekau there is the most, owns the most recognized business as well on social media.
For the brand trip. And, you know, I'm one of the people who have tried brands, but then, you know, along the way, I just gave up. But I'm highly motivated from what I've just heard through his interview. Maybe I can also give it a try again. I don't know. Mboiseni here. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Clement. Icon. I'm inspired. Yo, no, this guy has courage. This guy worked hard. I'm inspired. You know, I wish you had this guy on just before COVID. Man, yo, I'm inspired. Now I started a business Lemoto because I didn't have capital and he had money. That guy, he developed business here. I know him. He ripped me off, and I gave up. I gave up immediately, and his business is still running today. My business still running today. So this guy has just now inspired me to go and try again. Thank you very much.
Hey Clement, I'm listening to this story, Lekau, and you're asking him where he gets this resilience. You know, 3 of my friends never holala Ivo, Omongo got 3, Omongo got 2. And I can tell you now, today, they are grown men and have careers. So I think that environment, yeah, push, Leonor, you know what? I can make a mouth. I love profile interviews and I love hearing his story. I'm not a sneaker person, but I know Trip is everywhere. So big ups to him for staying the course. I wish him all the best. Sipoko Tembizam.
Clement, good morning and your guest there. Can you please ask the gentleman how did his partnership with Morocco Solos came up, and for how long is it going to run until And is he on designing another apparel for the club? Because he's the technical sponsors.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So the Morocco Solos deal came about, our new strategy in the business. So for the 4 years of us being in business, we're just a sneaker brand. And then for us to be able to sustain the business, for the business to be here for the next 100 years, we said, let's diversify, our offering, and then let's position ourselves in the sports, fraternity. And then that's how we actually said, okay, cool, but how? And then we just said, okay, we're gonna go into running, we're gonna go into soccer, we'll do other sports as well, like tennis. And then we had to look at soccer teams in the PSL, which ones we can actually partner with. Morocco Solos is one of the oldest teams in the PSL. And then we said, we spoke with David about the rebirth of the Morocco Solos, and we were going through our own rebranding and rebirth. We said, let's collaborate and then do a technical sponsorship, a huge task for us, because it meant that we had to launch apparel as well during that time, and also fast track the business from just sneakers to also apparel as well, but functional apparel.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you say? I mean, most of the people who've called, who've sent us voice notes, are saying, some are like, I was on the verge of giving up.
Yeah.
Some are like, I'm so inspired to hear this story. What's your message to someone who has tried and tried, like you have in the beginning, and they're just struggling to see any hope? And they've got a vision, they've got dreams, they've got plans, but it's just not been easy.
Yeah, look, I think the most times where I have cried in my life is during business and during my trials as well. For that 16 years, it wasn't easy. But when you have nothing to lose, you are always pushed to actually just go back and try again, and like I'm saying, you have to be right at least once. So if something fails, try again, because it's only going to take one moment and one opportunity for you to actually get successful or get your big break. So just keep on going. It takes years. People say Drip was only 4 years, but they don't talk about the 16 years of me being cooked by entrepreneurship and being failing. So I apply everything that I learned for that 16 years in the success of Drip for this past 4 years. So just keep on going, and you just have to be right at least once.
Yeah. Oh man, you have such a powerful story. I thank you for making time for us, and thank you for what you've done, for the hope and inspiration you've given to so many people, and all the best with the business.
Thank you so much.
It's a minute before 11.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.